Welcome back to another video, gang. Today I'll be looking at what difficulty Tower of Questionable Trials really is. It's been a personal tower for me. I beat it on mobile and it was always one that I kind of debated the difficulty of, to be honest. Some of it is incredibly easy and some of it is like almost SC. Well, maybe not that far, but it's pretty far into being remorseless. But anyway, I'll also, a quick thing I want to say. First off, the typical like and subscribe, obviously, and secondly, I want to say that I'm going to be on an alt account in this video. Besides what you're seeing right now, this is pre-recorded footage, but I'll be on an alt account this video because, well, my main got banned, which is a note to self: don't bully people on the karaoke battle game. But without further ado, let's just get into it. The first floor is really short and it doesn't really offer that much besides a few jumps that could be considered a tad bit hard. Honestly, there's nothing really that you're going to fail on this floor. It's just maybe a couple of complex wraps. I mean, obviously, I just did fail by looking at the thingy, but I wasn't locked in because I was on the practice place. Yeah, that's my excuse. This floor's really easy. I'm going to give it mid-high intense. So, floor 2 is kind of a step up from floor 1. Still nothing that's really that difficult. They have kind of ramped it up with a couple, weirdly slanted jumps, few complex wraparounds, and that conveyor jump as well. Yeah, that one tripped me up a little bit. But yeah, it's still not really as hard as what the tower's going to be, but it does introduce you to a few of the mechanics that this tower is going to use, so I'm going to give it peak intense. Floor 3 is when you really start to realise how vicious this tower can get. You have to carefully time these X-pusher jumps. There's also some walkarounds on wedges later on in this floor they're just not very pleasant either. And you kind of start to see that this tower is no joke. You may have thought it was like a barely intense tower previously, but yeah, this floor shows how bad this tower can be. And although I would still give it a peak intense, because even though this floor does utilize some pretty questionable, no pun intended, mechanics, I still think it is kind of peak intense. I still think you could pretty much do this if you tried. So yeah, peak intense. Floor 4 is really when things start to ramp up. I mean, it's the first dreaded outside of this tower, and well, we all know what outsides are like on Tower of Questionable Trials. Floor 10 especially. This floor's outside is still kind of bad. I mean, if you didn't understand the shadow block mechanic, then get ready to fall, I guess. There's also a few alarming jumps like head hitters, quite long wraparounds, and just general jumps that are kind of finicky. This is the first floor which is going to get remorseless difficulty. I'm going to give this one a bottom remorseless. Floor 5 is another floor with a dreaded outside, and well, let's just say that outside ain't pleasant. But also another thing that I wanted to mention was the inside of this floor isn't the best either. I mean, especially those hole jumps, the ones that I think are shown on the screen right now. They are brutal, especially if you make one slip up, because it could be the bottom of the tower if you fall. The outside itself, not too bad, but still you could easily slip up there. I think this is the floor when it starts introducing a lot of crazier mechanics, and it definitely shows in the difficulty. I mean, I'm going to give this one a bottom low remorseless. Floor 6 can kind of be considered a break floor, but it is by no means, you know, a walk in the park. There is a very, very strange wraparound on this floor, and also the head hitters at the end of it don't make for a great time either. The tower begins to look a bit more ominous as you go into that crimson/purple kind of colour, and this is really when the difficulty begins to show of this tower. You know, a lot of people would have been coming into this thinking it was going to be easy and like practically intense. No, it definitely isn't. And the wraps and confusing timings of spinners on this floor, they do show for it. I would give this floor a bottom low remorseless, just because, you know, it is still inside. Well, floor 7 is one of the floors that gives me severe PTSD. I remember many a fail here, and this is when they start kind of bringing in the trust flicks, and yeah. Being on mobile, I was never that great at them. I'm still not on PC. And when they mix that in with awkward jumps on an outside, head hitter jumps on an outside, you know, just overall adding the fear factor. And they also make you do a couple trust flicks on the outside as well. It is not free from that. And just general awkward jumps on an outside, it really adds the difficulty of this tower. And I'm going to give it, personally, a low mid remorseless. All of these jumps are just, some of them are really tight and some of them are just really hard to fit through. And especially all that given it's an outside too. Yeah, definitely low mid remorseless at least. Floor 8 gives you a little bit of a break from, you know, all of the madness that was floor 7. But it is still, you know, it is still ridiculous. Especially the spinner with all the parts moving, the wedge jumps, the head hitters, the trust flicks, everything. It is... Floor 8 really ramps up the difficulty. I know I say that about most floors, but I think you know, definitely some are just allocated to bringing up the difficulty of the tower. I think this floor is one of them. Especially like all of those head hitters are starting to get really difficult, and you can kind of tell here that, you know, this tower was not what you thought it was going to be. So I would give this one personally a low remorseless. Still not as bad as floor 7, but it is still definitely a force to be reckoned with. Floor 9 starts us off with some incredibly scarier, you know, walk around jumps, and it is the first floor to introduce the fake block mechanic. While that's not really a mechanic that's too difficult, it can still slip you up sometimes, and it can catch you off guard. And this floor especially is a floor that is incredibly scary. I mean, those hole jumps on the frame, they terrified me when I was first playing this tower. And while I do actually quite like, off topic, but I do actually quite like the fake block mechanic. It kind of gets your reflexes going. But yeah, anyway, the point is, this floor really does like implement pretty much every device to torture you, and that kind of works because like it's testing if you're good enough to make the outside at the end of the tower. I'm gonna give this floor another low mid remorseless. Floor 10 is really when everything sort of comes down. I mean, good god, this floor is absolute pain. Literally all hell breaks loose on this floor. You've got wedge jumps, you've got head hitters, you've got weirdly confusing jumps, and just all general crap happens on this floor. And that's not even mentioning the outside. You gotta get to the outside first, but the outside is absolutely... Oh my goodness, I have PTSD from that. I was so glad when I finally did it, but all the failing, all the trust flicks, all the incredibly weird spinners on the outside, and especially that kind of last little walk bit before you get to the ends. Oh my good god, that was... I tried to do a dare for myself there to try and do a bit of a complex wraparound, and I ended up falling. It was not pleasant. This floor was never pleasant, but the outside really is one of the best endings in EToH, to be honest. I mean, As much as I hated it, I had to admit it was pretty good. It was a pretty nice finale. So I'm gonna give this floor. I feel like I might get a little bit of hate for this, but I'm gonna go high remorseless. Just, I mean, you can kind of understand, right? And the final difficulty is bottom low remorseless. I mean, after doing all the calculations, finding the mean of the difficulties, if you will, I figured out this tower was bottom low remorseless, and there is reasoning for this. While yes, the outsides are, you know, admittedly harder than what's inside, they are what brings up the difficulty in this tower. Every mechanic that's inside it's sort of like it's easy to learn, and there's no real threat when you're inside the tower. It doesn't feel like it's like anything is really that difficult inside, despite everything that it introduces. This tower's also a bit of a skill boost as well. So bottom low remorseless is definitely worth it because it's too hard to be intense, and after all that, it's worth a remorseless win. But let me know what you think about this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It would make me very happy. Yeah, you better do it. You better do it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I actually enjoyed making this video. This is one of my favourite to make. Even I think I prefer this video to the Tokyo Heights one. But anyway, yeah, enjoy. Goodbye.